Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to quick come in here before we start this video. Huge thank you once again to Outbreak Wrestling for having us. This video is going to be the meet and greet for Demolition. Was an awesome experience. Very like we were anticipating it, but not the way it went down. We thought we were just going to film it. Didn't know we were hosting it. So it kind of came to us and like, hey, do you want to host? And I said, sure, no problem. I'd love to have a moment that I can tell for the rest of my life that I worked with Demolition in some capacity. And Brian was in the same boat. So yes, we quick jumped in. We did the meet and greet. We didn't have our camera set up right away, so you're going to miss a little bit of the beginning. There is a little thing where we didn't have a chance to put our mics on or get to do some cool things. So it's coming over a PA, so sometimes it may be hard to hear them. I understand. So some of it may be not the greatest quality that I would prefer, but the experience outweighs that, I feel, and they are so forthcoming on a lot of questions. So many good questions were answered. They were so, it's just so cool to hear their stories. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, head over to our link tree, all and our websites. All of our social medias are on there. A quick follow goes a long way. If you want to support this podcast, we do have merchandise as well as donations, as well as a Patreon. You can help support us. We have your support has got us to the point where we can get these GoPros and do this cool things. And there's awesome things we can even do more and add more features and quality to bring to our content, and that all comes with support. So if you want to do that, please help us out. If you can't do that because times are tough and monetary stuff is not easy, shares, likes, tell people about us. But we're glad you enjoy the content, and here we go. Demolition, Outbreak Wrestling, Breakfast, Waffle Mania. Yeah, Waffle Mania. Bye.
Back and forth. I'll man the camera.
How long did we wrestle for?
Counting today, I think it's 2.5 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
74 started. Different.
Yeah, and I started in 81, so.
You guys look really good. You guys look really young.
Feel good.
They look really young.
You have to keep telling our wives that.
Anyone else? Next up. Don't be shy. All right.
What was your favorite tag match?
You know, we've been asked that question quite a few times, and we were fortunate because, you know, that era, there were a lot of great tag teams. We worked with the Strike Force and Powers of Pain, the Heart Foundation, the Bulldogs. And we've often said that would be like Andre and Hunter. If you mention 3, you'd probably leave out 4 or 5. If you mention 5, you leave out another dozen. We're just fortunate at that time the territory was flooded with good team brainbusters. Like you're saying, I'm thinking of guys that we worked with as we're speaking, and I'm remembering more people.
Yeah, it was, we were really lucky that it was the best tag teams ever here. Now there's, 3 or 4 teams. Back then, it was like a tag team territory. So it's hard to pick, which was your best match or which was the best tag to work with. But, they were all good.
And just to add, I just thinking the Broncos were there. I mean, there's so many daggone good teams that you can see it's difficult to choose.
And plus, the TV matches that you have, you didn't work with the main event guys, you worked with the guys that helped get us over. They were phenomenal, and we kind of had to say
Hercules and Roma.
Yeah, Hercules and Roma, but I mean, it was like, we had to kind of say we were sorry before the matches because we had to, put the boots to them pretty good, but they were so good to us, and that's what helped get us over, was those guys.
Well, it got to the point where we had, just before the match started, we would have to go tell them we're not paying for the ambulance ride to the hospital.
If anyone else has one, just raise your hand. I will come out to you. You have a question?
Just want you guys to know, Demolition, that I'm 54 years old, and watching you guys have great matches matches, especially at Madison Square Garden. I'm from New York. Awesome times. Favorite match of all time with you guys was against the Colossal Connection. When you guys won, when you three-peated. Greatest moment of my life, the pop you guys got. You got the Road Warrior pop. They should call it the Demolition pop. So not really a question, just a statement saying thank you so much for all you guys did for the business. So thank you. I'm sorry, sir? Yeah, well, you know, my knees don't feel it, but yeah.
I got one on that.
Really good.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
This gentleman here got you guys some water too. So.
What a gentleman.
What a nice guy. Any other questions? Raise your hand. All right. See that.
Hey guys, all the way back here. Good to see you. Just want to thank you for being part of my childhood growing up. Watching WrestleMania 6 was one of the most memorable times in wrestling for me. I always wondered, why didn't you refute LOD kickoff after that 2 out of 3 falls in the Hart Foundation at the SummerSlam?
And sometimes, as you know, administrators in any position, any line of work, all of them, but they're never going to win. So that's my answer.
You know, and what's hard about what we did was we were on the road so many days. And from trying to eat right, go to the gym every day, train, then you get to the building, and then you wrestle, you do everything. You almost don't think of what's going to happen, you know, months down the road. You're thinking of what's going to happen that night, the next day, the next day. So you kind of have to trust, you know, Vince and the booking committee to do everything correctly. And they think they are. And sometimes they make mistakes and sometimes they don't. So it's kind of like that.
And I was the debut match in the WWE.
Mario Mancini. Anybody else?
I got one for you. Outside of Demolition, what are some of your other favorite characters or gimmicks you have put out into the world?
I've got quite a few of them. Yeah, I was the Repo Man. I was Crusher Khrushchev, Crusher Darso, Man Mountain Darso, the Blacktop Bully, Czar Mongo, Barry Darso, which Barry Darso was the hardest gimmick I ever worked in my life. I think that was pretty much all of them.
Mr. Hole-in-One. Mr. Hole-in-One?
I had, when I first started, one of the Mongols, Polo Mongol, and then was Mass Superstar, and transitioned to House.
Yeah. There it is.
Question is for Mr. Reedy, Mass Superstar. What do you remember about wrestling Bob Backlund, MSG, October of '83?
What do you remember was Mass Wrestler wrestling Bob Backlund?
Oh, well, I thought Bob was an excellent wrestler. I don't think he was appreciated at the time. Not by the fans as much as by the audience. But he was sincere in his interviews. I often said that he's probably one of the physically strongest guys I've ever wrestled in the ring. But he didn't abuse it. And I personally thought that he probably would have been even greater. He was great. Even greater is if he turned heel before.
Awesome, yeah. I met Bob a couple of weeks ago. He's still a nut.
Great guy.
He's a blast.
I do have one statement.
I will admit, all people have made fun of me and laughed at me for being a wrestling fan. And all I can just say is like, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't like be the person I am today. So thank you guys for just inspiring me to, like all wrestlers inspire me, like to follow my even though like people make fun of me for it, I still love it. Like I don't let people define who I am. Just like you don't let people define who you are.
Right. I think that people nowadays everybody makes fun of everybody for some weird reason because they don't like how they woke up, or I don't even want to use that word woke. There may be some jealousy because you enjoy something and you're passionate about your hobby. So they make fun of golfers, tennis players, you name it, card players, whatever.
Yeah, and really all you can do is laugh back at them for not being wrestling fans. You know, you can't let anybody get to you because you gotta, whatever you believe in, you do. And you can't let other people dictate.
Demolition, this is that's commentary, so you shut up right there.
You're going to be surrounded about 2,000 people at those conventions and all feel the same way you feel, so welcome home.
Yeah, you're in the right place.
Yeah, you're in the right place.
Any other questions?
I got the back.
Thank you.
How's it going, guys? So before forming Demolition, do you guys know each other, or how did Demolition form back in the day?
I knew of Barry through Iwep. I hadn't met him, we met in Atlanta. But I heard of him and I knew that he was a great talent. And the opportunity came up. We met. Before we bonded the first day, I knew it was going to work. I actually knew it was going to work from day one.
Yeah, I was wrestling with Nikita and Ivan down in Charlotte, and I was a Man Superstar fan big time because he was a big guy that could work. He took bumps, he wrestled everybody, so I was already a fan of his. And then I, knew a lot of people that knew him. And when I quit Mid-South, when I was doing Vince would set me up. He didn't tell me anything about Baylor. They came to me with the gimmick of Smash. Then I agreed, if depending upon who was asked. He told me it was Bill Eady, and right away I said, definitely I'll sign the contract. So, like Bill said, the first time we got together, it was like we were partners already for 10 years. I knew what he was doing, he knew what I was doing, and it worked right off the bat. And a lot of times that doesn't happen in wrestling.
All right, hi guys. Two questions. One for Bill working as a machine, and two, one of the Moondogs was the original tag partner, right? How easy was it to transition, or when did Barry come in after that?
The first one was working as a machine. Yeah. Well, that was just supposed to be Andre and I were back and forth to Japan. I had a long-standing multi-year deal with Japan where I would go anywhere from 8 weeks to 16 weeks. And sometimes we were there and Andre was there as my partner on the tag team. Sometimes we were individuals against each other. So we landed at International Airport there in Tokyo. And during the process of us leaving the States and going to Japan, they had a tag team called the Machines. I think it was the Strong Machines. And they had a Japanese manager, Wakamatsu. Well, the tag team itself left and went to work for Baba, which is Inoki's competition. So when we landed, they told us to go right to the office. We met with Inoki, and they proposed that they want to counter the Machines moving by developing a new team. Everybody knew Andre, so he became the Giant Machine. And I had been fortunate, I've been there for years, and they knew the Super Machine. The Wakamatsu stayed with Inoki, so he became our partner. And every night, whether it was a live TV or a live event, he would grab the microphone and he would challenge the strong machines, proving that they weren't as strong and powerful. He had a better machine, team, and good challenger. So that's how that transpired. And what was the second part?
The Moondogs.
The Moondogs, originally Randy had come up with a rendition of the Demolition. He tweaked it, this and that, fur boots and fur outfits and stuff like that. And over a period of time, we got it to where it was today. But the first night was in Allentown. And we came out to the ring. They had no reference point for me because the last time I was there was the last Superstar. They couldn't recognize my face. But Randy was already well established as the Moondog. They had the belts, they were the champions. As soon as the curtains open, they say, Moondog, Moondog, Moondog. And then the second night, the same thing happened. And I told Randy, I said, the character, the gimmick is going to work. It's not going to work with you. If you want to keep it, I'll step aside and go back to Japan. And he said, no, they recognize me, they don't recognize you. So he was kind enough to step aside. Vince told him he would use him as another character. They put him under a mask. I think it was the Shadows. And then we went on the hunt. And the first 3 or 4 guys that Vince suggested, I won't bring up their names because it was the same thing. They were all recognized too. I said, Vince, it's not going to work. They're already in the territory. And now you're going to give them a new character. You heard Moondog, you're going to hear the same thing. He said, I think you're right. So.
And then I didn't know anything about the Moondog. Because how long was this? Was this like 6 months or a year, or till I came in?
Yeah, I went back to Japan. It was about 6 weeks, maybe.
Yeah. So I didn't know anything that this was going on because when I quit the Crockett territory down there in Charlotte, all I did was train and spend time with my wife and took a few months off. So when I went up there, I thought that I was the only character that was filling this. I didn't know that the Demolition gimmick even existed. So until after I got together with Bill and I had the contract signed, that's when I found out about Randy. And Randy was a great guy, and I appreciated him, stepping aside and letting me in there because that was my whole career because of that.
Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Thanks.
We got one back here. Okay, guys. I have just questions for you guys. First, how many they expect
and then the second question is, how are you feeling in your first ever singles match since you guys were
You gotta speak up a little bit louder. Just make it so I can hear.
I know my ears are going bad. There's a lot of noise, so you can't speak up.
So my first question was, what inspired you guys to start wrestling, want to wrestle, since then way back then it wasn't that popular, so you guys just got these versions as well. And the second question was, how you guys were feeling your first ever singles match, some of you guys were tag team for a long time.
Well, I think we're both back into the wrestling business. I was in Brownsville, Pennsylvania, is where I grew up, just south of Pittsburgh. And our next door neighbor used to be a professional boxer, Marion Clinton-Smith. He fought Jersey Joe Walcott. That was that era. He was the mayor of the town. He also became one of the 3 commissioners for the state of Pennsylvania. I was going to West Virginia University. His son was going to Penn State. And we were home for the summer. And he asked us if we wanted to go to the Civic Arena to see some wrestling matches. I said, yeah. My grandmother was a big wrestling fan. And I wasn't really into it, but I seat, he said, we're going to go into the locker room. So we went into the locker room. There's these two big football players. And the owner of the company at that time was Guido Longo, who later became the guy that broke me in. So they walked up to us. There was all these wrestlers in there. We're looking around. My jaw's probably hanging down. Here I'm in a locker room with all these mean dudes. And Guido came up and introduced himself. And he said, "You interested in getting in wrestling?" I said, "Yeah." So 2 days later, we're at his barn north of Pittsburgh training. That's how I got there.
And I used to work at a bar in northeast Minneapolis, and it was myself, Rick Rude, the Road Warriors, John Nord, you know, a lot of guys that were in wrestling today worked at that same bar, and it was a pretty rough bar. Every night we'd get in fights, and you have to throw people out the front door, and it was a pretty brutal place. And one of the bartenders was Eddie Sharkey, who used to wrestle for Vern Gagne, and he says, "I'm going to get you guys into wrestling." So after we're done working that night, we talk about it, have a few beers, and next thing you know, he rented a church. It was a basement of a church, and he had a ring that was made with railroad ties and nails sticking up and a little tiny mat. And Rick Rude, the Road Warriors, myself, we started in the camp there. And the first one to go out was Animal. He went with Ole Anderson down in Atlanta. And then when he came back, they started the Road Warriors. And then I left next. I went to Hawaii, and then Rick Rude went to the North Carolina. So that's how I got started with all those guys.
Imagine acting up in that bar, right? Jeez. Here you go, another one.
Not a question, but just say thank you for all the great memories. One of the greatest tag teams around.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
There we go.
What is you guys' favorite food?
He said your favorite food.
Oh, I think I have too many favorite foods.
Yeah, me too.
I had I don't know if anybody knows, but last year during July, no, it was earlier than that, April, I got my second vaccine. And then I got COVID 10 times worse than I had the first time. And I lost 69 pounds. And unfortunately, I think I've gained 72 pounds.
You know, it's funny you say what's your favorite food. When we were on the road, Mr. Fuji and Axe and Smash, we all drove together. Bill would get the hotel rooms one week, and I'd get the airline tickets, and we did this for years. And what Fuji did was found the restaurants, and every restaurant that we went to was a Chinese restaurant. And so we'd get into town, we'd say, "Hey, Fuji, what restaurant we going to?" You know, and he'd say, "Oh yeah, we've been to that Chinese Dragon a few times. We'll go back there." You know, so I think we didn't want to look at Chinese food anymore. And we told Fuji, "Hey, we got to change this up." So then it went to Japanese food. Yeah, that's all Bill needed was Japanese food. He's over in Japan so much. But sushi was probably our favorite out of all of them.
And the funny thing is, it's one of those you have to be there moments. The last time, unfortunately, we saw Fuji was at a signing, a big convention in the Meadowlands. And his son was taking care of him. He was on set of Dementia, and we were joking about the story about the Chinese food, the Japanese food, and his son said, "Oh no, he doesn't eat that. He hasn't had Chinese or Japanese food for years."
You know, and Fuji was the king of the rivers, so we think he was ribbing us the whole time. He didn't like Chinese food, but he did it on. He had to go there for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Any other questions? I'll give you a fill-in until someone comes up with one. What do you think of the current day tag teams that are out there now, and who are some of your favorites to watch?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know many of the teams. I think it's the, is it FTR or something?
Yes.
And we received the message from them that they actually established their names after us to honor us. And then I watched them a couple times. They're very good, so it's an excellent compliment. You know, we know the Young Bucks because we've done some signings with them. We really don't keep up with all the new team. The talent is good, but unfortunately, for some reason, there's not an emphasis on tag teams. They just have two guys that they don't know what to do with, and they put it together and form a team until they find out what to do with it. But to be a successful tag team, you have to think and move like the other guy and anticipate.
Yeah, and I haven't been watching wrestling either, but now, a couple of months ago, I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch this. And I watched AEW, and they had a couple of tag matches, and I can't remember who the names were. The matches were phenomenal. It was like, holy cow, these guys are good. Because they were completely different than we do. The match didn't make sense, but what they did was incredible. And I thought, well, I'm going to watch the WWE. The same thing. They had a couple of tag matches that were incredible, but there was no story to it or anything, completely different than what we did. But what they did was incredible, but it just looks to me like they're not going to last very long. Because some of the stuff they're doing, it looks like they're going to kill each other. And everything's off the top and flips, and one wrong move, you're going to break your neck, you're going to break your back, your knees. That's what I see the difference is, you know. And we did some of that stuff, but it was only one
No. We had our opponents do some of that stuff.
Well, you know, every night he'd come off the second rope with that elbow, and he can't walk anymore because of that. My knee, I got a new knee from it, so we just got hurt different ways. But it just seems like one mess up that they make, it's going to be a really, really bad one. And one of the guys just broke his neck.
Big E.
Yeah, I don't know how he is, and how did that happen?
He took a German to the outside, landed wrong.
Yeah.
And they said he's going to make a full recovery and might be able to back in the ring.
Well, I hope so, because, you know, great wrestler, but it's just what I was saying. It's just that stuff that they're doing now could kill you.
Yeah.
You know?
Any other questions? Raise your hand. I'll bring the mic to you. And I'll try this at home.
So I just want to say, like, thank you guys for coming out. You know what I mean? Like, it means a lot. It's a lot to do. I have a question. So I am inspired, like, training as a wrestler. I've always had a passion for wrestling. I've grown up watching wrestling. I have my family here. Me and my brothers used to go to wrestling shows and stuff like that. I have a question. So starting out, like, do you have any advice for someone starting out, like training to be a wrestler?
Well, stay with your passion because there's a lot of ups and downs. Unfortunately, when you're first starting, there's more downs than ups. You'll get what you put into it. If you are a little different than the other guys, pay attention. When I first got into the wrestling business, one of my first managers was Boris Malenko, and he said, look around. He said, if everybody's yelling and screaming in their interviews, you talk. If they're talking, you yell and scream. Be different. Everybody's got long blonde hair, cut your hair short, dye it black, right? Be different in appearance and how you make an approach. Emphasize things that you can do good. Everybody can do certain things good. They can either punch, or kick, or fly, or sell, whatever it is. Make that the emphasis of your event.
what's great about wrestling is there's places where you can make millions of dollars. There's places where you can make $50. There's places where they don't even pay you, you know. And I used to coach hockey. The kids, you know, that were 8th, 9th grade, and I used to tell them, I'd say, the chances of one of you making it to be a pro hockey player, nobody here is going to be playing the pros. The chances of you getting a scholarship to play college hockey, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 of you guys. The rest of you guys, you have such a passion for hockey, you're going to have fun playing hockey your whole life and really enjoy it. It's kind of the same thing with wrestling. You get serious, you train, you meet the right people, you have friends in the business forever. It's just like us seeing the guys here. It's the greatest thing in the world, seeing our guys we used to wrestle with. And so when you're starting out, you got to have an open mind and try as hard as you can to make it. Because you might be one of those guys that make it to the WWE or AEW. But if not, there's places around here that you can have the time of your life. You may have more fun, but don't give up your day job until you make it to the big leagues. And even when we made it to the big leagues, it was like, you know, how long are we going to keep our job? You never know about wrestling.
And we've been asked that question a number of times. And one of the things I always give advice to, if you have a job, keep it. Because you can wrestle on the weekends. You can wrestle Friday nights, Saturday, Sunday afternoons. And if you get a couple $100 a weekend, and you do that multiple weekends a month, you can drive around in a brand new Cadillac on your hobby. Because you got your real job to fall back on. That would be the advice I would give my own family. Keep your day job, because there's going to be a time when they're going to ask you to do something, you don't feel comfortable with it, and you can say, I'd rather not. Well, you'll never do this again. I got a regular job. This is a hobby.
Anybody else? Questions? We're getting close to that curtain call here, so if you have any, raise your hand. I'll get the microphone to you. It's your chance. Demolition's right here. All right, here we go.
How long did it take to put the makeup on and then you do it yourself?
We're going to see in about a minute when we start putting the makeup on. It depends on how intricate it is, but usually after we started putting makeup on, both of us used to say, now we understand why the wives need a little extra time.
Yes, that's why when we have to leave at 10 o'clock, I tell my wife we have to leave at 9.
All right, any other ones here? Going once?
Going twice.
Twice?
What?
All right, well, let's let the guys here. Once again, everyone give it up for Demolition. We'll let them go get the makeup ready, and you guys can see them at the meet and greet. Once again, thank you all so much for coming to Mania. We look forward to seeing you guys next year.
And thank you all for watching us over the years. You're what made us, really. Thank you.
This is the enjoyable part, because for years we weren't allowed to meet and greet fans, we weren't allowed to talk to them, we were supposed to be mean and rough guys, and now we only do that at home.
And like I said, all this was filmed, so if you had a question or something you remember by, it will be on the Legends of Hamburg page as well as the Tornado Attack podcast. So thank you guys so much once again.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of the convention, and I hope you're sticking around for the show later on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Guys.
So much.